I think of the passage about every time I go to dinner at someone's home, think about this passage about where to sit and either wait or go to the lowest place. And then, other than the head of the table, I think every other place is probably the lowest. But anyway, the literal aspect of it is very front in my mind. But there's also another aspect to it of this passage, which is humility, the law of humility, if you will. And one of the aspects of that is to not seek honors, to not be grasping after honors in our lives. And I think it's reflected even, this law of humility is reflected even in nature. As out, kind of the first time I recognized this huge tree out here, out by the sign out there. And every year, well, at least for the last 2 years since I've been here, it produces leaves, and it's tall. It still stands in the wind, and it continues to grow. And yet, without the roots, that wouldn't be able to happen. It still needs the roots, and the roots are almost completely invisible. We can't even see them. And but yet it's a vital aspect to that tree. And I think if we compare that to our spiritual lives, to humility, the root of humility, without that, our lives can't bear the fruit of authentic happiness in ourselves and for those around us. If we just do what we do well and be who we are, and we get honored for it, then we accept those honors humbly. But seeking after honors, grasping after them, to be the best at the cost of others, will only lead to embarrassment and no accomplishment for us. I think on the flip side, if we don't get honored and we wish we would have, we can also hang on to that with resentment. One way we can put this lesson into action, I think, is the next parable. Jesus teaches the hosts. When he addresses the hosts, he says, don't, or I should say, give to those who can't repay you. Rather, give to the poor, the sick, the blind, the lame. And your reward will come in, as he says, the resurrection of the righteous in heaven. Your reward will come in heaven. And I think we do get a reward in this life, just the satisfaction of being able to give to somebody and without condition and not expecting a return. And there's a joy in that. But there's a greater reward even in heaven. The Christian principle at work here, I think, is that heaven is more of a relationship than it is a place. And relationships are things of the heart. And when we stretch our hearts here on earth so that we care for people unconditionally, they grow, and our hearts become more like Christ's. And we're capable of a deeper relationship with God, which translates then into a greater reward, greater happiness. And each of us knows a neighbor who can't pay us back. I was just thinking about my parents. They gave to me something that I could never give back to them. I could never repay them. When parents raise children, they give something to their children that they could never repay. Or maybe it's someone down the street going through a hard time, a relative alone, and an acquaintance who is sick and dying, a neighbor or classmate who's isolated or being bullied. The list can go on and on about people who can't repay you. I want to honor all of you. I want to thank all of you who have put this practice of giving to those who can't give back by giving to your parish and your school financially. You don't receive any financial return on that. It's not like putting it in the stock market. You don't get anything back. And some folks don't even get any direct benefit from it. Nobody gets a financial return. Maybe a break on your taxes. So I want to thank you for that. And I am going to make an appeal to those of you who have been giving to the capital campaign and are finishing up that pledge. And the invitation is to keep giving that, but transfer it to the operations giving in addition to your regular giving. An email is going to go out on Monday to hopefully make it easier to do that. You know, our last campaign, we still have some money to spend on that, but we've improved the maintenance of our facilities very well by that campaign. And my goal for the near future, with the backing of the Pastoral Council and the Finance Council, is to increase the pay of our employees. If we look at every position in the parish and the school, when compared to a similar position in the non-church world, is underpaid, and some of them grossly underpaid. It makes it difficult for people to stay working here if they can't afford to, and many parishes operate this way. But my hope is that with your increased giving, people will like to work here not only because they support and they're committed to the mission, but they can also afford to work here by what they get paid. Jesus will come again today to strengthen us in the Eucharist. He knows we can never pay him back for such a gift. And he wants us to share his joy by loving him in return, by being humble, doing his will, and like him, giving to those who can't repay us.